They promised power. Now they wield it. We face the greatest Sith in generations. They must be stopped.
So, we just learned news that Revan may likely be getting his own series on Disney+, in that he may even be making an appearance within the upcoming Disney show The Acolyte, which is going to take place 100 years before Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This was all unveiled on the HoloNet Maurader podcast by Corey Van Dyke of Kessel Run Transmissions, where he says, I quote, "If you're a fan of Knights of the Old Republic, Darth Revan will be coming back into canon very soon in something Disney Plus related. There's going to be a big push for Sith characters post-Mando. That's going to be Disney's big Disney Plus slate, starting with The Acolyte. Obviously, the timeline won't match up, but I know for sure there is concept art out there of Revan in a hologram, which I believe is for Acolyte. We'll kind of tease his own series eventually." So, from the sounds of it, it does seem that Revan will be making some sort of appearance via hologram. And for those of you who are wondering, a hologram, not to be confused with a Sith holocron like the one we see here in Rebels, is simply a three-dimensional visual projection of a person or some sort of object like a map. So a way I could see them going this route for a show, let's say like The Acolyte, is to have some characters stumble upon a particular droid that happens to have this hologram recording stored within their memory. No different from what we've seen done many times over. Which, in my opinion, would make T3M4 our most likely candidate for something like this. However, if they wanted to get creative with it, there's certainly nothing stopping them from involving HK-47 somehow due to his popularity with the fanbase. And this is exciting news for many Star Wars fans like myself because it provides even further clarification that Revan will have a prominent role to play within the canon timeline. Now, given that we also know development for the KOTOR Remake is well underway, the question of what implications this might mean now arises for how the game itself will ultimately be portrayed as a whole. And as of this video, it's actually still not 100% clear whether the game will be accepted as canon or not. There has been a tweet that an employee from Disney put out in the world for a short stint that indicated the game will continue to follow the EU timeline, but that tweet has since been deleted. And frankly, I feel this was probably because Disney has yet to decide really what they want to do. So today I'm going to take a deep dive down the rabbit hole and unearth all sorts of stuff for you concerning the topic, which, as a quick disclaimer, will include plenty of spoilers from the original Knights of the Old Republic, but let's be honest, the game itself is now almost 20 years old. So yeah, let's just dive right into it. As some of you may know, Revan's existence was introduced to us as canon for the first time back in 2019 within the visual dictionary for The Rise of Skywalker. You can also see within this particular concept art from the movie that not only have they now clearly included some version of the Revan from Knights of the Old Republic, but also his apprentice, Darth Malak. Now, one thing we've come to learn over the years for those of us who have played the game is that there's certainly been a recurring theme, so to speak, where we come to suddenly find they've canonized some particular aspect from the game in a rather sly way, and they've been at this game now for some time, certainly longer than what we've seen from just Revan. For starters, every planet that was first introduced within the original KOTR officially now exists in canon. Rakata Prime, which is the planet you travel to near the end of the game, was first introduced in the visual dictionary for Force Awakens in 2015, as well as the ocean planet Menan, which can be found within the official map of the beginner role-playing game for the same movie. And while they've yet to release any further details about these planets since, the Selkath from Menan in particular have actually gone on to make multiple appearances within canon material. Now, as far as Terrace is concerned, which is the original planet you visit where you first meet Bastila, and where, regardless of your moral stance, probably gave in to the dark side here for a quick minute. The planet itself has now become canonized and has already made a variety of different appearances. Furthermore, in the book Aftermath, which is set shortly after the events of Return of the Jedi, the book confirms that Terrace itself had endured some kind of devastation on a massive scale at some unknown time in the past. Now moving to the planet Korriban, which was technically first introduced in the Tales of the Jedi comic published in 1996, but really became widely popular due to KOTOR. The planet itself has also now become canon, although under a different name, which is a bit confusing, because Korriban, as you see it here, is now actually referred to as Moraban. And for those of you who are wondering, this is all explained in the short story Gaze of Stone that was published in 2019. And let's not forget about the elephant in the room. The Mandalorian Wars that were first introduced in KOTOR have also now gone on to become canon thanks both to the Clone Wars and Rebels. In The Mandalorian, they even indicate the war was fought between Mandalorians and Jedi. Few others to note outside of this. Let's not forget about the Circa Corporation, which certainly became popular from the game, and they are now canon and widely utilized. Even the force power that was created within the game called Battle Meditation that Bastila used is now canon, thanks to the Clone Wars character encyclopedia, where it even indicates that Mace Windu, of all people, was rather proficient with it. Alright, so the list doesn't end here, but here's the point. Although the original game certainly isn't considered as canon, one might be able to make an argument at this point now that pretty much the majority of the game has become canon, especially given the recent news. So let's say they do take this opportunity to decide to formally canonize the KOTOR story told within the remake, then there are a few minor things to work out, like how red kyber crystals are formed, and they may need to change the name of the Mandalore that Revan defeated, but these things are very minor. Aside of that, it does explicitly state during the era of the High Republic that they hadn't yet fully established themselves within the Outer Rim, contrary to what we observe within KOTOR. It absolutely does not mean the Republic hadn't expanded their dominance to further regions in the past. And that comes directly from a Disney employee who happened to put out a tweet that is still out there in the world. So given the reason that there is very little that has to actually change for KOTOR to not conflict with anything from the canon timeline, regardless of whether they recognize the game as canon or not, my guess is these are changes that will be made, even if it is just to keep the door open for that possibility of making the game canon at some point if they want. Let's be honest, at the end of the day, if Disney feels it would be more profitable to retell the events of KOTOR and even further recognize the game itself as canon, there's no question in my mind they'll do absolutely that. Either way, as always, this is a question for you. Do you even like the idea of introducing the story told within the KOTOR remake as canon, or would you like to see Disney shy away from this direction altogether? So feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss out on any future Star Wars content. This has been Mike, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace!